a Kwanzaa minute. On today, we go ahead and light our second candle representing the second principle of Kujichagulia. And we have a proverb to offer for the second principle. The second principle, in short, means do for self. Our proverb is do for self what others cannot do for us. An African American proverb. It's 2021, time to do for self what others should not, could not do for us. Kujichagulia means do for self. We name ourselves, others don't name us, like you name a pet. Kujichagulia means do for self. We speak for ourselves. When things ain't right, we let you know. Kujichagulia means do for self. People of color just ain't me. I am that darker brother who just can't be denigrated. Just like my mother, my brother, my daddy, and my old grandpappy. Don't get me started because I can be kind of snappy. Kujichagulia means do for self. We saw what happened with the Indians. You gave with the right hand, then you took with the left. We call it Indian giving. They called it Indian giving. We call it reneging. Kujichagulia means do for self. It's time to name ourselves Ali, Hassan, Kofi, and Jabari. Shaka, Nehanda, Olu, and Chukwu. Kujichagulia means do for self. Once we do that, it's time to rebuild our schools, museums, places of worship, and businesses too. Kujichagulia means do for self. We have everything that we need. All that is left is for us to do it. Kujichagulia means do for self. Tutanana Ujima.
Welcome to another Kwanzaa Decades in Review. My name is Brother Kwame, and with us today is one of our eldest members in the Columbus Tawi family village, Baba Elder Sokoto Falani. Elder, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, sir, Brother Kwame. Your sound was bad for that intro, but I thought I heard you say go ahead. Would you like for me to go ahead and start with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, very good. Good afternoon. So good to be with you. I'm very glad to be able to add some comments in relation to the beginnings of Kwanzaa in the Columbus, Ohio area. So, what was the in terms of the first question? Just in terms of the history of Kwanzaa, uh, I've been personally celebrating Kwanzaa since early, about 67, 68, when I was in graduate school at Ohio State. And we had two professors, one in particular by the name of Brother Samael Spiku from Kenya, country of East Africa, and we talked in terms of what Kwanzaa was and what it was all about, and we talked about it from the standpoint of Brother Dr. Ron Karinga, USC, and others traveling throughout the continent. They travel. They found relation to the harvest of the first fruits, and Kwanzaa was developed as he developed it in Brother Karinga, and began celebrating in 1906. Very soon after that, it came to west, to the Midwest. In the Midwest, we, as you know, as your listeners would probably know, that the Department of Division of Black Studies at the Ohio State University began in 1971-72, and I graduated in 70 and began in the Department of Black Studies in 71-72. And part of course, the instruction, my all of us, as we started Black Studies at Ohio State, part of our instruction from Dr. Nelson and the dean at the university was course study development. And my course development started to develop undergraduate courses in community development, and we developed community development courses in Black Studies at the undergraduate level, and then of course we became a department. The graduate level stuff began to develop. I to the directorship of the community center then, and we were to open it and found some space. Indeed, it's Bryden, at Ohio Avenue and Newton Streets, and we opened in the community center, St. John's Center there. But I had celebrated Kwanzaa with Baba Kelsey and Ella Tony and Caesar and others in Columbus. First celebration, as I recall, was 1971. It had to be 71, and the 18th and Bryden Community Center. And from there, when the extension opened in 72, the next years from then on, way into the 80s, celebrated at the OSU Extension Center on Ohio Avenue. The OSU Extension Center on Ohio, we developed some church and community, such as Black Barn and the Dunbar Recreation, located on the end of Nelson Road. But the community celebrations of Kwanzaa, pretty rough years. During that time, we always looked at it as a family operation, a family celebration, and we around three principal constructs. That was the lighting of Kwanzaa candles was ritual, and around that we only did that with immediate family, and then there was celebration. We did celebrate, which was the community part of the and it went, of course, from December 26th to the 2nd of January, and that ritual we had at the Extension Center, and at the time, OSU brought his classes. One of the major things that we did was to get and do their empirical research. So we did a number of things around that, but the all of respect was developed, and so we had a real some of the negative things that happened with us in terms of as we were trying to organize the African American churches. A number of the independent churches don't denominational names and pastors. They were a little very skeptical of what we were seeking to try to do. They wanted to know if we were trying to replace Christmas. Were we trying to get Santa Claus out of Christmas? What we were doing, celebrating it so close to around Christmas time. And as the audience will surely know, that Christmas celebrated for not only the 25th, but right on through the Emancipation Day of. So we had to convince churches and Black community people, that parents that know that what we were doing, and they tried to. One of the things that happened, and they bring Christmas gifts. Well, we had teaching around the idea principle was but the Washington Schottenstein's or Lazarus and bought, but you same thing for your children, and so that they would experience and things that were useful for them along the holiday. So that was the way the celebrations began a little bit of history beginning. Organizations that work with issue extensions, organizations, as I said, like the Dunbar Center, Culture Center, the Poindexter and Beatty Recreationers work with us, Blackburn Center, and then of course African American churches. Bob Kelsey and his wife were developing what we know today as the APDS, the Afrocentric Personal Development Shop, and their work with us was very good. And then several churches. I was then and still a retired pastor now, but I was pastor of a church which we were able to get of the West United Methodist Church. It's located there on Oakwood and Oakwood and Kelton. No, where located. I pastor there, and we moved into the church, and we're able to get American and members for what it really was. So we did quite a bit of, I think opening the eyes and of Black community truly is. So it's been supported very since. Another organization instrumental in helping us along was the organization students at the university, African American students and professors. Number of professors helped us to open what was the first all African free school in Columbus, which was the name of it was Umoja Sasa. The school operated out of the Holy Roses St. John Church on Main Street, Main and Rose, I believe it was. But we operated out several years, and so Kwanzaa was moved around to a major place of has always had always been up until just so that we were able to have good relationships in communities in Cincinnati, Dayton, Sure. Remember very much the brother Noma idea of the Apple setting. Cleveland came to Columbus and went to Cleveland, and the movement from Columbus to Cleveland, the annual care move on the ends of always a treat for Columbus people because we were able to go out of town and work with other brothers and sisters. So the social situation around Kwanzaa, Brother Kwame, was one that I might say was in those early days. We were educating people history what Kwanzaa really was, how it had not trying to supplant anyway, interfere with New Year. We worked it right in with New Year in the pieces that we developed. Wanted to help people to develop minds. But not agree, especially in those early years. Now I think in the media they said more than 13, 14 million now, and of course it was made a national holiday. About the late 70s. Stamp. You know, some 100 people, and people were on we celebrating in the community to be going. That was quite a noise, and we came to us that there were people who were jumping celebrants as they left to go to their cars and go to their homes. So we had to work on seeking to protect our women and children, especially in those times. But thankfully, that really went away after a while, and I think it's because of the educational experiencing that we had with various groups, because we turned anyone very open. And with Brother Nomo's help, Baba Kelly's help, all the street organizations came in and worked very closely. So once that happened, all of that negative shift went celebrated very, very peacefully and very, very thankfully in Columbus over all those years.
Baba,
Is there another question?
yes, sir. There's just a brief commentary, because a number of us are wondering, why would our Christian brothers and sisters think that Kwanzaa would be in conflict with Christmas? And might that have something to do with the celebration of those quote unquote 12 days of Christmas from the 25th to January 6th, where you have the Epiphany, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. I would say this, Brother Kwame, for the large part of the African American church experience, the idea of the history of what 12 Days of Christmas and that, and they'll sing sing commercialized song for the first day of Christmas, that the European. But as far as knowing what because I say this because pastor, as you know, I pastored the United Methodist Church for 13 years, and all of that time,
yes, sir,
sought to try to teach of what the Epiphany was. It was hard people to get that. They thought very much of commercialized gifting. That's basically where they ended up being, and so I think that their objection to Kwanzaa at that time had not to do with understanding what the history was, of what the culture of the Christian church. So that's just my thought now, and it's what we sought to try as doing that holiday period of time over the years when I was with the Methodist Church.
Yes, sir. And Baba, give us a little briefing on the Hall of Respect.
The Hall of Respect? Yes, I sure be glad to. The Hall of Respect was,
yes, sir,
one of the things that we sought to do was to move students from the university up on High Street, because as close as that was, finding that people coming from, black students came from the South, coming from, and then from the cities like Cleveland and Akron and in Ohio, Columbus and all, they came and they moved to High Street, and from Ruth Avenue up to Lane Avenue and the fairgrounds, but they knew very about the black community. And one of our core community development to move students from the campus to the black to do their coursework, do their research around things that affect too much of a negative effect on the African Americans, or whether the church members, or whether they were just people trying to make their living.
That's right.
That studying what police were doing, police reform they call it now, what police were doing, what the courts were doing. We found that one of very, very bright students from the South, I forget the student's name now, but from the South, did a paper on because something happened to him moving from the campus to the community, and he found out for the same crime he got twice and a half times the kind of time we're telling him that they got for the same offense. Like speeding, and we talking about 5 mile over the speed limit, and months and a record going along with it. So he did a study of police. Didn't call it brutality at the time, but with African Americans, we uncovered some very, very, very important things that were used and turned. Forget who not governor, but it was Governor Rose at the time, but who the mayor was, Columbus. But anyway, that kind of involvement by students' studies helped us to move those students from the campus to the community, and they appreciated it very much. And we had I think we especially had sometimes 2 or 3 classes meet at the same, and so that was a very successful part of the.
Wow. That is highly impressive.
Getting professor, he brought his classes, and like twice a week, he brought his classes to.
Hold on one moment, Baba. Hold on one moment.
In a building where in the basement of that building really was out bowling, and he developed around that the of course bowling pins and all that was taken down.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, as far as your Kwanzaa, yes, sir, your Kwanzaa experiences, what are some of the things that you've taken away from Kwanzaa? Can you hear me okay, Baba?
Help and as was extended family with the APDS experience,
Baba.
rites of passage. Rites of passage.
Baba, you hear me okay?
We went away rites of passage to various places to do our initiation ceremonies, but we moved them. Went one to West Virginia. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we have a time delay, but
yes.
No, part of you were blanking out. Do you hear me okay?
Okay.
All right. If you could, you could go back. Okay. If you would go back to where you started talking about what you're taking away from Kwanzaa, as far as the thing that has made a really great impact on you that continues to push you forward today.
Okay. Okay. Well, I would say Kwanzaa certainly has had my personal and extended family, and extended family going through my relatives, as well as my family. That's an extension of my family. It's had a very positive upon that just.
All right, hey, let's pause. Let's pause right here, because what I'm gonna do is we gonna Elder. We gonna
personally have moved to a
hello.
Christmas truly is, and
he can't hear you, Hatim.
With
Elder. We're gonna pause right here. We're gonna pause right here, and what I'm gonna do is Kwame is gonna text you a phone number that you could call in, because it's breaking up real bad. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna
hold on, Hatim. Elder Sokoto, that phone number that I gave you along with that link, we need you to click that phone number and so that we can get you more clearly. Because when you started with, that last part to that, when you started addressing that last question, we lost contact. So just hit that number, and that'll dial you right in to where we can hear you very clearly without any of this other static going on.
Give it to him, Kwame, because he can't hear me.
Okay, it's 614-556-4535. That's 614-556
the number you
4535. So hit that number and you'll come in very clearly.
6. Okay. 356. Okay, yes. In terms of the impact Kwanzaa's had on my personal life, my immediate family life, and the churches that I pastored since we began to celebrate Kwanzaa way back in the early 70s, 71. In fact, it gave me the opportunity to, as I studied under the distant tutelage of Maulana Ron Karinga, with the immediate personal tutelage of Baba Maria Kelsey, Elder Tony West, Elder Aziza West, and Mama Kim, and Elder Donaldson, to name just the elders that held sway in our lives here in Columbus, as far as cultural and historical perspective. It just has had a positive effect, because what I was able to, Sister Basija and I were able to accomplish through our rites of passage study and our movement into the eldership in the personal development shop, we were able to make a smoother, I think, transition to the educational experiences that we had in the churches that we were having that was having a positive effect on us, and we of course were having a positive effect on them. By that I mean, a little example may very well be, once we APDS moved in with us as we were passing out of the Wesley United Methodist Church, the administrative council accepted that. I think they may very well accepted it because of the financial remuneration that was able to come to us as a result of that. But we moved into and having Kwanzaa celebrations at the Wesley United Methodist Church, and the whole community. I mean, the church auditorium would seat 3,000 people, and we at sometimes had people in their standing room only during Kwanzaa celebrations. And the church community accepted that. Some did not, and it came to a head one year as we had community speakers in. And I never really thought anything about it, but one of the speakers was Donnell Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, and Donnell Muhammad. And we had a number of people who came to me sort of privately and personally and wanted to know, had I basically lost my Christian mind by inviting a Muslim into the pulpit. And so once we got that kind of thing, and we talked about it, of course, seriously, but once we got that kind of thing straightened out, we were able to move that church congregation to a positive, clearly historical and cultural place that it had not been before. So I was very thankful for that. And other churches, we moved it from the Wesley United Methodist Church to Baptist churches, the First Amy Zion Church on Bryden Road. A number of churches like that came into the fore, and they sponsored Kwanzaa night through several years. So it's just been a positive. Kwanzaa has been a positive in my life, and it's been positive in my life in terms of the history and the culture, and the educational experiences and backgrounds that we had was instrumental in helping to develop in the city of Columbus. So,
Bob,
yes,
I consider what you've told us and everything, and it has a great impact on me to hear some of these stories, because let's say I'm honored to be walking in such footsteps, and it is our prayer that we emulate what you've done and what our elders have done, Baba Mariba, Donaldson,
Yes.
you know, and I just have a great respect, Baba, and you know, I give thanks. And if you have any parting words of wisdom for our family, we will close out here.
Well, okay, all right. I sure appreciate that, Brother Kwame. You've been one of the strong young Turks, you and your wife, in terms of all that we've been trying to do since you came into the cultural history and cultural experience. My wife, Basiji, was absolutely in love with both you and your wife. How she one day I think we as you were speaking in one of the meetings that we were having, I believe it had to do with the excuse me, with the temple experience, and she said that brother, she said on the way home, she said that brother Kwame is a very, very educated person, isn't he? I said, you bet he is. And anyway, she said he's a very educated person, and she just couldn't see how you it gave her a better, even though she, you know, her degree work at Ohio State was in I believe early and middle childhood education, but she said in terms of special education, you know, he's very. She would ask, well, and I always meant to ask you, she said, was he blind? Has he been blind from birth, or did something happen to his sight when he was in school or something? I said, I really don't know, but I said that his mind is one that can help. All you have to do is listen to him, and he will help you expand your mind. So she and I always had a beautiful relationship and wanted to know, you know, see and talk with you every time, every opportunity that we could get. So that's just one of the things, you know, just that would be no way that there was another brother who at Ohio State, I forget his name now, but I taught him, and he came to Ohio State. Oh boy, what was his name? He was a blind brother. I don't know if you remember him or not. But I can't call his name. But anyway, he took classes in Black Studies at Ohio State. But he was an artist, and I think he worked out of photography, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he you remember him? I can't call his name. But brothers, brothers like yourself, brothers like No More X, brothers like, you know, I remember we had to educate people that they thought that No More X and Afro Set was gonna be robbing them and taking their things. I said, you know, only we had to teach only people. No More was worried about not robbing, was beating up, was John's on Main Street, because he give them a fit, you know. so the church people accepted No More after that, you know. And the same with Donnell Muhammad. Donnell Muhammad, Mosque number 34, as I recall, was right on Main Street, right on Main in Kelton, like close in there. And they would say, well, you know, we had to teach that these are people that are protecting you. They will protect you. And they're certainly not going to ever harm you. And so those kind of wild, kind of negative accusations that have been built up, and I believe by that European system of miseducation, as Brother Carter G. Woodson, you know, told us about, it is one that is just so deep-seated that you have to do an awful lot of spade work teaching to get it out of the minds and hearts of people, so that they can understand that the No More X of this world never was going to hurt anybody black, you know, in the black community. So that was those were learning experiences that we always cherish. Yes, sir.
Well, you know, I appreciate the praises you and your wife had for me, and you know, by all means, my karu to my mother CG, and
all right,
you know, it's I'm truly honored.
Well, we appreciate you. Appreciate having you in the community, brother. You're an asset to us. Yes, sir.
And with that, family, we are out. Salim Hatep.
Hotel.
And thanks again, Baba.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon.
When you were at Wesley United on Kelton and Newton. Me and Sister Ayana. We were running a school out of your basement for a brief time there.
Yes, you. That's right.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
And that was
Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.
Right out there in those streets where Shorty is.
How you doing, Shorty?
Hey, Terry.
I just saw your mother inside the restaurant.
Yeah, I just saw my way down and lay some bread on.
Shorty, the word is on Vine that you're not making your payoff to the cops.
That's just the rumor, Terry.
You mind if I give you a little advice?
No, go ahead.
Why don't you just quit dealing altogether?
Oh, man, you know I can't do that, Terry. It's a violence.
You ever stop to think what would happen in these streets if we cut off the flow of drugs altogether? White folks control your neighborhood through drugs and you dealing?
So what you gonna do now? Give me a sermon?
No sermon, Shorty. I just thought I'd ask. You mind if I give you a little advice?
No, go ahead.
Why don't you just quit dealing altogether?
Oh, man, you know I can't do that, Terry. It's a violence.
You ever stop to think what would happen in the streets if we cut off the flow of drugs altogether? White folks control
My
your
man.
neighborhood through drugs
My man.
and you dealing?
So what you gonna do now? Give me a sermon?
No sermon, Shorty. I just...
Now, the frustration I feel, because that is a motto of a lot of conversations. People shut down good information because they say, oh, what, you about to preach me a sermon now? You know everything. No, but the key piece that you have to remember, that we have to remember as a people, that we do very little if we don't get a sermon. We can take it all the way back to Haiti. The whole Haitian Revolution jumped off from a religious ritual. I'm quite sure somebody gave a sermon. Gable Prosser. Quite sure somebody was giving sermons. Right? Nat Turner was a pastor. We know he was giving sermons. Let's bring it all the way up to the Civil Rights Movement. Full of people that gave sermons. As a matter of fact, Martin Luther King was one of those pastors that gave a sermon that moved the masses, right? We go to the Nation of Islam, full of ministers. One of the famous being Malcolm X, who gave a lot of sermons. Bring it up to today, where we are today, right? Think about it. Farrakhan gives some nice sermons. So it's kind of like we shut each other down with this whole sermon idea, and Shorty with his dumb ass. Oh my God, Shorty make me mad. But I did like his pantsuit. I'm thinking about bringing the pantsuit back with the long collar. You see that? I think I might bring that back. I think that's the only thing I can find that I like about that. All right, family. So right here, we got one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm going to explain eventually on one of these videos why this is my favorite movie of all time. It's called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. And it's very, very, very important that we go through some of the lessons in here, because they are lessons that we constantly deal with today in this world. I mean, a lot of shit has changed. It only changed in look, but many of the rules of life still apply. And if you listen to the sermon that Shorty Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
I don't think he got no more than about a $20 or $30 a week habit. And that ain't no habit.
Shut up, Mama Duncan. I can hear it ringing in my ear. Right? But anyway, this is what we're going to do. I want us to break it down because basically what Turk or Mr. Freeman was talking about in there was controlling territory. And we often talk about that on Giammi Journey. You can't have a family. You can't have a tribe. You can't have a community. You can't have a city unless you have marked out territory. All things have to have territory. And what Turk was talking about in that scene was establishing a territory and controlling what comes in and what goes out of that community, right? We have to face the fact, family, that a lot of us are playing revolutionary. A lot of us are playing nation builder. A lot of us are doing these grandiose things or think we're doing these grandiose things when in fact we are doing nothing but walking around the plantation, including myself. The goal is to break out of off the plantation. How do you break off the plantation? You break off the plantation by taking control of the plantation, making it yours, staking your claims, and making sure you control everything that comes in. Now, the first place we start with that as a people is our minds. Right now, our minds are open. So anybody can come in with a crazy idea, stake their flag in there, and everything is cool. Right? And everybody do as thou wilt. Do what you want to do, blah, blah, blah. But how do you organize with that type of shit? How do you really take over a community with that? Because one of the things that you have to understand that when you go into different communities, we hear people like, well, we hear about all these other groups. These other groups share culture and they share ideas about that culture. But in our community, what happens is we got so many different ideas about who we are, about where we are, about when we are, that we can't align those ideas so that we can empower ourselves to overcome and push out those that are not serving our interests. Family, there is no way that we could take control of our community doing and allowing anything in. That includes thoughts, that includes drugs, that includes the education, that includes, we have to be able to control all of that coming into us. We got to be able to control all of that going into our children. We got to control all of that. And that's true nation building. You don't build up a nation so that other people could come in and take advantage of it. You don't build up a nation so other people could come in and take from you. Right? So Turk said, have you ever realized that if we cut off the flow of drugs, what would happen? Do you not understand that white folks control your community through drugs and they control you through the dealing of drugs? Right? Now, I want you to understand that often, if you look at the movies and you look at the history, traders were often funded by other people's money. When other people's money becomes more important than your culture, you will always lose. When you have individuals that are able to be financed by outside sources to act as mercenaries for them, they don't even have to give the mercenaries directions. Here, cause as much, basically, they didn't even say cause as much confusion as you can. But when you unleash people who are outside of the community onto the community, they're not with you mentally, they're not with you educationally, they're not with you spiritually, they don't see the same political things you see, they don't see the same economic state that you see, it causes havoc in the community. It causes havoc in the area. It causes havoc in the neighborhood. And it descends from community to neighborhood to just the hood. Many of us, because we have not started training our minds, because we are not living by principles, have given in and started living a mercenary life. And mercenaries never build empires for themselves. They build empires for others. They never build countries for themselves. They build countries for others. And when the mercenaries become a problem to the state that they have helped build, guess what that state does to them? Look it up in history. And even worse, for us, a lot of us with the mercenary mind state. I'll do anything for money. If you got somebody in your crew right now that say they will do anything for money, you need to go on and eliminate them out your crew. But hey, I'm on some tribe building shit right now. Listen to me, family. If you want to learn how to build a tribe, I am going to invite you to take our e-course. Go to freegnjecourse.com. Feel free to hit up the video with comments so that we could go and have this discussion, right? So that we could really start building, at least those that want to build. Because we got some people that's really benefiting off the confusion that's going on in our community right now. Whole lot of people. As a matter of fact, we'll lose a lot of jobs. You know what I'm saying? But hey, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? So family, thank you for joining us. I am your host, Brother Hatim. And this has been another one of those adventures of Brother Hatim. And this one is called Territory. What is your territory? Where is your territory? Where does it start? Ask yourself some of these questions. Yo, that's just a thought. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.
Greetings. I am Mama Mawusi Ashakir, and I am here to discuss with you this African Liberation Day how education can be a means and a mode for our survival. Educating our future in the face of crisis. That's the name of the topic of my discussion today. Very important. As we are now sitting here facing this global crisis, we're in the midst of a very pivotal crossroads, one that offers us the opportunity to take ourselves back. I am Mama Mawusi, I am Ashakir, and I am a cultural custodian. I'm a 25-year homeschooler of my own 7 children and 4 grandchildren. I'm the founder and guardian director of 4 nation-building institutions. The Body Temple Institute of Holistic Health and Herbal Studies, for which I train herbalists and naturopathic healers to be able to answer and address emergent situations and health maintenance issues in our own community. The Rising Academy of the Sun, for which I educate children in our community to be able to reach learning levels and to come into adulthood with skills and trades. The Mothership, for which I train birth workers, childbirth educators, doulas, and fertility strategists in order to resolve and literally help to manifest health in women and children. Daughters of the Clay, Rites of Passage, for which I help girls through initiatory rites in their coming into womanhood. I have been working in our African community in Cincinnati, Ohio, since 1985 with various organizations over time. Not only have I worked, but I have also benefited from the conscious community. I'm also grateful for that. The topic and concept of my discussion today is how we can benefit from social collapse, how we can take advantage of social collapse. In this time, we need to organize our time, organize our family, organize our energy, organize our communal resources, and organize our money. In doing that, we'll understand how much money are we putting into a global structure that is collapsing. How much of our communal resources have we turned over to or become comfortable with seeing coming from this collapsing society? How much of our energy has this society consumed over the years? And bring our family in so that we can begin answering those needs for each other. So we can begin answering, finding resources or generating resources or even creating those resources ourselves together in the family. Organizing our time in order to be able to create resources, to build resources, to grow resources, to make the resources ourselves, and then to begin to circulate those resources amongst each other more times before we even consider going outside of our family circle. When we organize our family to contribute to our own freedom, we create a family social system. We develop a plan for sustainability. So I'm addressing how we do this. And I'm also addressing this in the midst of the fact that my family is doing this for itself. So I'm sharing with you what we're doing. So we're developing a plan for sustainability. Like, how can we sustain this even if the system comes back? Even if it comes back up, how can we continue to sustain this anyway? Even if society comes back, how can we sustain family social systems that we create, that we need? For instance, we need a ride, we need vehicles, we need to be able to travel, we need food. So we create a food co-op where we all put in and we get cases of food, and then we can share it together within each other. We need childcare. We need education. So therefore, we begin to, there's that one person in our family who's a childcare provider. So that person can then begin to provide childcare for the family, communal family. That communal family will be you, your children, your grandchildren. It may also be some people who are the very close family relatives. You know, those people whom are may not be of blood circle, but yet of consciousness circle, and they are relatives. So they are related to you. You are all connected. So work and use the talents and skills of each other. Even those people who are not of your bloodline circle, they can even be bridges to where their bloodline circles can also be brought in, and you two as family nation units can then begin working together to provide goods and services with each other. Also, research self-sufficiency methods of food security, food storage, growing food, and seed saving. Also self-defense and home safety during these times of social collapse. Very important for us to understand. Also legal defense, understanding your grounds, your standing in the law, understanding how it affects you when you're being pulled over, or when they're saying forced vaccinations, or when you're going into a place and they're saying that you have to wear a mask, you know, or that someone is not. What is that? What is the law in relation to this social, societal new laws that they're putting into place? Understand what's happening. Also, research health maintenance tips. Pay attention. Well, I think that we are paying so much attention to what the CDC is saying. We're paying so much attention. They got us looking in all of these different directions. But one of the things that is a key concept we need to be looking at is how do we maintain our health? This all came about as biological strategies, biological warfare, biological concepts that are going on, a viral issue. If such is the case, how can we maintain our health? Organize a family economic system, a system of saving monies, understanding how will we save monies, also creating a susu together where we can circulate monies, and then creating monies for loaning. So we're saving in preparation for loaning to those family members within family units within your family to be able to help them to start micro businesses, things like this. Also consider buying properties or real estate. Very, very interesting. So I guess I would say consider investing together, as a family unit, as an organized family unit. One of the things that was pushed as I've been growing in consciousness is organize in the form of get into groups outside of your family, outside of yourself, outside of your community, whatnot, and to organize into these groups of political ideology, of social structure or religious structure. But the first structure that we have to understand how to organize is the self. But the second most prioritized structure is your family. And if we bond our family, then it will make more sense to be more our social structures and our religious structures, our religious organized structures will then stay together better if we understand the value of being in a family structure, especially in the face of crisis. We want to educate our own children, and ultimately, this is what I do. And bringing up the first important points is that without those structures during the time of social collapse, we have to have those structures in place for educating our own. A lot of times that is the issue with people saying, oh, I can't homeschool my children. It's because key structures are not in place for you to be able to educate your children, you see. But now we're thrown into this position where they won't be opening up school next year, What happens in the event that society doesn't come together to be able to address our needs in this coming school year? If such is the case, we're going to be the ones who are educating our own children. If that's the case, that's fine. I have created this PowerPoint presentation to put you in position to be able to do it. What you want to do is assess your child's intelligence and learning level according to you. Right now, we're working, a lot of people who have used the public school system have accepted and have given over to the public school system in order to tell us their assessment of our children. However, the children have to walk the path that you have established for them. So with that, you need to assess their learning level and their intelligence for walking the path you're getting ready to establish, or that you have already walked for them to follow. Okay, you may use the assessments from the public school system, but you need to use your own intelligence as well, with priority. Begin to collect resources from basic topics such as reading, writing, science, math, things like that. And then also include topics from your life, such as critical thinking skills, self-defense, historical heroes, gardening, herbalism, food production, health maintenance concepts, law, and African languages. As an African-centered educator, that is a big, big concept and an overarching concept in my life. And so with that, African languages and African African historical concepts, as well as African critical thinking, is vitally important to me. So that's why I included it in this lecture. I just wanted to bring forward this thought that is key. Why is it that we cling so hard to the idea of what we've learned in school? That what we've learned in school should be taught, despite the fact that we have since forgotten much of what we've learned in school. You know, very much we find ourselves finding the educational paradigm for which we have been educated in so key. We want it to be so key. We are holding it so tightly, but many people have been utilizing and creating methods and strategies of self-preservation in their life and how they operate, that we've really forgotten what we learned in our elementary, junior high, and high school years, and exchanged it for the self-preservation methods that we're using to survive now. With such being the case, I need you to reestablish what is necessary for the child that you have bared, the child that you are rearing, in order for their survival based upon what you know. Recreate the educational paradigm, because that educational paradigm that we learned in school did not prepare us for what we have to deal with in this world. Really plain and simple. Use this time to inculcate an African foundation based upon self-sufficiency. So, general resources, these are in general resources to pad out your educational outlook, and it is not educational curriculum. They are not necessarily African centered. They are in general, and you'll find these online resources, links and resources, and they will actually help to create drills and things like this for your child. So we have math drills. They have a very extensive worksheet collection on everything from the foundations of math with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, all the way up to geometry and algebra, and I think maybe some calculus, but I'm not sure. Flipped math has geometry, algebra, calculus, and trigonometry, and foundational math. Math is fun also has foundational math at all learning levels. Language arts, you'll find free worksheets on all learning levels at greatschools.org. English, grammar, and also and you'll find that on this YouTube channel that I found. This brother is teaching learn English grammar, and I use it. Reading comprehension, very interesting. readworks.org. That's a really good one. And then free worksheets, very important that we have free worksheets. I really wanted to find something that made it very simple and easy for you to fill in where public school has dropped us off or has evicted us. Or it has evicted many people. But also check out languages. This is something that your children can do themselves. Duolingo and Busuu. These are places teach various different languages. Even Kiswahili is on Duolingo, and that's something that is really a good place to start. It's very important for us to tap in. It is very important for us to tap in to our children right now and to help them to navigate. It's very important to tap into our children and help them to navigate this transition because of how society has presented itself. It seemed as if it will continue without disruption. And it has disrupted our children's lives. And in some cases, it has changed their path of graduation. It has, it took away their ability to experience a graduation. It has changed their whole thing. So we have to help them to understand what we have grown to understand, which is that everything must change. Everything comes to a change, and societies do come to a glass, hit a wall, and they do end. And so with that, we have to prepare them for that. We have to prepare them for what is coming, what could possibly be coming. And if in fact they are going to change and not open schools this next school year, we need to be talking to each other to support each other in this change. There are a whole lot of things that are coming up and that are uncertain. When we do not know what they will do, then we need to prepare for what we will do. And we need to make that preparation based upon what the resources, the tools, the talents, the skills, and the ability that we have. We need to draw upon our own strength and our ancestral knowledge in order to move forward. Self-sufficiency was always what was desired for us. And so with that, let's take this opportunity to step forward in that. I am Mama Mawusi Ashakir of the Ashakir Family Nation, and I'm grateful to be included amongst the African Liberation Day speakers. And I'm grateful to have been placed in position by Baba Tunde, and I am, because we are. Many blessings.
Africans from A to Z.
After all the agony of ventures abroad, anticipated antagony allowed the assured to bring back biological beings from beyond. Be little by beast, blasphemous be gone. So the clan cooperated and Chester was chosen. Now the colors coordinated and chapters are closing. Despondent democracy, a devilish discourse demonstrating diplomacy of a demonic divorce. So earn everyone, the end is engaged, incited by the East enlightenment's and rage. Forget false friends, fortify your facility. For real foes, cause they freeze your fertility. Get going in the game, growth is your goal. Giving God the glory to gather your soul. Hear me, heaven is a home for the have and have nots, harbored by the hopes and the heroes of hip hop. Hello.
Africans from A to Z. Is it ignorant? Investigate inside the tent.
I insist, I instruct ideas to invent. Just jettison the jokes of juniors and justice. Juveniles join Jakes in jail and just kiss. Killing kind kindreds of kings with the knights. Connecticut the kitchen but capped on the kite. Let them loose, Lucifer, liberate the light. See, we label these lows but leaders of the light. Look man is magnetic,
meant to move mass. Membranes mold mental, maintained by math. Never needed negativity and niggified nations. Nice in our nature, we nourish negotiation.
Our outlook, of course, optimistic. Others off track, off record, often miss it. The proof is in the pudding. Power positions will penetrate the past and populate the petition. When you quake the quadrant with the qualified quote, it's queer when the question doesn't quantify hope, and the rest realize
that the rage is real. Respect righteous rebels in the routes revealed. Simply said, the system still stinks. It's sad when a seed sit in school with a shank.
Terrorists telling the truth, you can tell by the tear. Turn on your television, terrorists are here. Usually undetected and in uniform. Without unity, U.S. makes us unicorns. Vanish, but the verses will vindicate the verdict. See, voices from the vent verify violence. Why? When we want a world of His will, will we weave works of evil in the works we wield? Explain executions, examples exist. So get some extra X-lax and call the exorcist. It's the year of the young, and the youth will not yield. Yep, we all yelling, and you yellow, so we telling that you is the zone.
As I hit on the way, we grab the zebras from the zoo and head to Zimbabwe for Zulu. Africans from A to Z. Africans from A to Z. You are. Africans from A to Z. We are.
restoration, more so than reparation. And let me tell you something. If you don't have no sense, I can give you $10 million. Statistics have already said 7 to 10 years, you're broke. Right. Oh, look up all your athletes if you don't believe what I'm saying. And we thought they had 2 cents in their head. And well, call the response. So repeat after me. Minute by minute.
Minute by minute.
Hour by hour.
Hour by hour.
You lose your faith.
You lose your faith.
You lose your power.
You lose your power.
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute.
Hour by hour.
Hour by hour.
You lose your history.
If you lose your history,
You lose your power.
you lose your power.
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute.
Hour by hour.
Hour by hour.
You lose your spirituality.
If you lose your spirituality,
You lose your power.
you'll lose your power.
If it is to be,
If it is to be,
it's up to me.
it's up to me.
Because I feel good about myself.
Because I feel good about myself.
I feel good about all the people around me.
I feel good about all people around me.
And it will follow me
And it will follow me
for the rest of my life.
for the rest of my life.
Because I walk with good.
Because I walk with good.
And I talk with good.
And I talk with good.
And I am good.
And I am good.
And that feels real good.
And that feels real good.
Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Never let it rest.
Never let it rest.
Your good is better.
Till your good is better.
Better is your best.
And your better is your best.
African people.
African
You were
people,
once great.
you were once great.
You shall be great again.
You shall be great again.
Lose not faith.
Lose not faith.
Lose not courage.
Lose not courage.
Go forward.
Go forward.
Uplift the race.
Uplift the race.
Harambe.
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 Let us
Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.
My name is Dylan Pritchett, and I'm a storyteller. I live in Newport News, Virginia. There once was a mouse who every night would do the same thing. He'd crawl through the hole, go up into the kitchen, walk around to living rooms, all around looking for some droppings from that day. Well, the farmer had noticed it, and the farmer puts a mouse trap right in the corner, a little piece of cheese. When the mouse came out that night, he was walking around the room and he came to the mouse trap. He said, "There's a mouse trap in the house. I got to go tell somebody." So the mouse went out and he went to where the chickens were. And the chickens were out there packing. And the mouse said, "Hey, there's a mouse trap in the house." The chicken said, "I ain't worried about that. I got to sit out here and sit on these eggs. I got to worry about pecking. I hope they throw some corn out here. That mouse trap, that's your problem." The mouse went, So the mouse kept walking around, and the mouse walked around and saw the pig. He said, hey, pig, there's a mouse trap in the house." The pig went, "I ain't gonna worry about that. That's your problem. I just hope I got enough slop out here. I ain't worrying about that mouse trap. That's your problem." The mouse went, Mouse saw the cow, went out to where the cow was grazing, and he said, hey, cow, there's a mouse trap in the house." The cow went, "I ain't worrying about that. That's your problem. They come out here, pull on me every day. That mousetrap, that's your problem. The mouse went, This went on all day long. All day long, the mouse going from animal to animal to animal to animal, telling them, hey, there's a mousetrap in the house. And all of the animals said, that's your problem. Well, one morning, the farmer's wife was sweeping the kitchen, forgot about the mousetrap. And she swept over in the corner, didn't see that mousetrap, and that mousetrap clapped down on her big toe. Heard of something bad? She laid down. The farmer called the doctor. The doctor came in. The doctor said, it don't look good. And that toe turned green and purple. And then it looked like it was going to fall off. But before the toe got that bad, farmer's wife died. Well, everybody was showing up to the funeral. But they had to get there early, this way in the country. So people showed up real early to that funeral. And the farmer looked around. The farmer said, Lord, have mercy. All these people in the house, all of them, I got to be hospitable. I got to give them some breakfast or something. But Lord, where am I going to get all this food? So he looked out. He said, go out here and get some of these eggs. So he went up and he lifted that chicken up and he got some eggs. But then he stopped and went, chicken. We can have some chicken and waffles. We're going to have some chicken and waffles. So he grabbed all the chickens up and he took them inside and got some boiling water, scalded them, plucked them, and cooked them up. But he said, Lord, I got to have something else because everybody. And he looked out, there was that pig. He said, we got to have some bacon. So he went out there and he killed a pig. So them people had bacon, chicken and waffles, and some eggs for breakfast. It was a real sad funeral. Because the farmer's wife, she was a good woman. But after the funeral, you know what they had to do. It was time for the repast. Everybody showed up for the repast at the farmer house. And they sitting there, and the farmer's sitting there, and he looking around. He said, Lord, there's more people here. He said, well, at least I killed a pig, so I got some pork chops and got a ham. He said, but I ain't gonna feed all these people. And he looked out in the field, and there was the cow. So he went out and he killed the cow. Them people ate hamburgers, steaks, fajitas. They ate everything. And that was it. After they ate, they all went home. And that's the end of the story. You know what the moral of the story is? There's a mousetrap in the house. And what you don't think is your problem is your problem. What this got to do with Kwanzaa? Well, if you got people that don't understand unity, that's your problem. If you got people that don't understand community, that's your problem. If you got people who don't understand what the injustices upon their people are, that today the injustices are just as unjust as in the past, that's your problem. There's a mousetrap in the house. And through the principles, if we learn the principles, if we learn Ujama, if we learn Ujama, if we learn Nia, we will be able to understand and come together collectively to fight that mousetrap. Because there is a mousetrap in the house.
Peace. My name is Brother Hatim. I'd like to welcome you to the Self-Mastery Moment on this Giami journey. You can check me out on my blog at giamijourney.blogspot.com. Now, what I want to do today is talk to you first about why I'm here. I'm here because I'm a self-mastery coach. I want to make sure that everybody understands what it means to be a self-mastery coach and what self-mastery is. Self-mastery is a process of learning to control yourself. Now, first I need to define self for you before I get into the story I have for you today. The self can be defined as those absolute, complete, and perfect qualities of a being that are not dependent on external circumstances. So what I'm saying is that you
You are perfect. You are absolute. You are complete. So what that means is there's something else going on that limits us. And the things that we need to master in the self-mastery process are those things. Number one being that personality. Number two, the ego. Number three, the emotions. We got to learn how to master these and use these for what we need. So the stories that I bring you during these self-mastery moments will be stories and lessons to help you accomplish that. So the first story I'm going to tell you is a little bit about me. Because in self-mastery, we have to make sure that everybody understands that we all have similar struggles. We all have problems. We all have a history. And we need to learn that history. So, here we go. Now, this is a story about myself. When I was younger, I was crazy about martial arts. I love Bruce Lee. I love Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee taught about going beyond your limits. So I always look for a martial arts class. And in looking for this martial arts class, I didn't have no money. And my mama didn't have no money. So, of course, I had to find a free class. So in order to be part of this class, one of the things that you had to do was you had to pass, in a sense, the initiation. You had to pass, be in the class for a while, and when the master recognized you, he would let you in. So I stayed there 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I can't remember exactly how long before I became a member of the class. This was when I was about 12 or 13 years old. Well, anyway, the master one day recognized me, and he told me to come meet him after class. So I went to meet him after class. As we started talking, he started letting me know that he was going to set me in the class, and I was so excited, man. It's just like this is a dream come true. I'm actually going to be a martial arts student, and his brother, as he was breaking it down to me, he looked at me, just like I'm looking at you right now in the camera, and he said these simple words to me. He said, I know you. You don't remember me, do you? And I started thinking, I sat back and I looked at him, and I didn't want my master to know, my new teacher to know that I didn't know what he was talking about. No, I didn't remember him. But in my mind, immediately I went to all the negative things that I had done in my life, and I started wondering, was he one of the individuals that I have offended in my life? Was he the person was he the father of the child bike that I stole? You know what I'm saying? Was he the sheriff that tried to arrest us one day and I bit him in his hand so me and my little friends could get away? Was he somebody who owned a window that I had broke? Was he a substitute teacher that I was disrespectful in class with? I didn't know where I knew this man from, but I knew I wanted to be in this class, and I didn't want my past to affect that. And as he looked at me and he seen the confusion in my eyes, he said, I know you. You don't remember me, do you? So I finally had to fess up, and I said, no, I don't remember you. He said, don't worry about it. One day, you'll remember, and just think about it. So I started this class, and this man invested time in me. He taught me about myself. He taught me about my limits. He taught me how to push past my limits. This man invested time in me and taught me how to be a man through martial arts. He showed me where my weaknesses was and showed me how to work through those weaknesses and get those weaknesses to start working for me. He trained me. He pushed me. Every day that I went to practice, he pushed me to my limits. He invested his time in me. And as time went on, about 2 years, I started playing football, and I really got into football, and I really got into school, and at that time, I really started getting into girls, so I eventually start not having the time to spend with my master. So time and people and places being the way they were, I went my way, he went his way. He eventually went to prison for something, and I went to high school. When he came out, he would come around the house looking for me, but I was too busy for this man who invested in me. This man who became a father to me. Better yet, he even deeper than becoming a father, he was a teacher, and not only was he a teacher, he was my master, and I didn't have time for him. So eventually I graduated from high school because of some of the stuff that he taught me, because of the discipline he gave me. I graduated from high school, and I went to college. And while I was in college, probably my 3rd year there, I got word back from Akron just talking to somebody that my master had passed. And feeling bad and really realizing what I had done, I had turned my back on this man who invested in me, who did something that my own father didn't do. I got too busy for him. I went back to give him the proper respect that he deserved, and I wanted to go see his gravesite. So when I went home, I went to his gravesite. And as I was walking to the gravesite, I heard his voice in my head, and it rung, and it was so loud, and it was so clear, it was as if he was there, and he said, I know you. You don't remember where you know me from, do you? And as I walked towards the grave, I kept hearing his voice, and as I stood over the grave, it finally came to me where I knew this man from. And in that moment, I started to cry and I started to laugh, because in that moment, everything, not just where I knew him from, but everything in life became clear for me, at least in that moment. And I started laughing and I started crying and I thought about it. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful thought. And that ends the story. Like I said, my name is Brother Hatim. I'd like to welcome you to my little space in between time and space. I'd like to welcome you here. I'd like to ask you to come read my blog and just get these lessons. We'll learn together and we'll build together and we'll grow together. Oh, I know some of you are probably wondering where I knew him from. And because I don't want to betray my master's trust again, I'm going to give you the same gift that he gave me. I'm going to say it to you exactly like he said it to me. And I'm going to look directly at you like he looked at me. And I'm going to say, I know you. I know you. You don't remember me, do you? I know you. You remember where you know me from, do you? I promise you one thing. When you finally discover where I know you from, you, just like me, will understand everything in that moment. Everything will become clear to you. So once again, this is Hatim. I'd like to thank you for your time. And with that, I say peace.
What up, Baba? You're live.
Well, thank you very much, family. It is wonderful to be here today. So first, let's begin by saying to Elder Tony, that was marvelous. And I don't think that sometimes we know in our village what a giant we have in Elder Tony.
Okay.
I would say to all of Columbus, I wish that you would recognize that Brother Tony is a gem. He's one of high stature and perfect performance in terms of technique and methodology. And he gave us a little history lesson today. So, Elder Tony, let me give you a special clap for that history lesson. Thank you so much. Let's give honor and respect to God, our God, and all of our ancestors, brothers and sisters. I'm so thankful that you invited me here today. It is always special. It's very special to be among family, especially in the village of Columbus, Ohio, African village of Columbus, Ohio. It's special for me to be with you. No matter where I am in the world, I want you to remember that I'm still a part of that family, and I will always be a part of that family. For several reasons. One is that my children were born there. My people, Reba and Ramani, and raised in that family, and you helped raise them, and so I have great appreciation for that. But you also need to know that I have other children.
You are on the link. You need to get off the link.
Children like Hatim, like Brother Hatim, like Brother Tawan, like Ella Phyllis and Bob Ransom.
Go to your one screen and swipe it off.
Brother Nomo. And I tell you this because our family extends, and the more that we can extend our family, the greater we can become. I also want to take. It's good for me to let you know that it's good for me to be able to recognize each one of these family members and let you know that I'm very proud of them and all their accomplishments. But I want to give a special shout out to Brother Hatem for inviting me today. Hatem, you're doing great work, and I just want the village to know that you're doing that. I want to remind each listener that I will pass 95 on Monday. On Monday, I'll pass 95, and and I'm so proud that I'm able to be here and be among you. So I want to speak to you today as an elder, as a godfather, as a grandfather, and as a father. I will not be long-winded, but it will be some of the things that I have learned over my 9 decades of living. I hope you will deeply listen. I hope you will feel, not only listen, but feel some of the facts that I'm going to share with you beyond the words. I want today to please keep your African conscious, ask you to please keep your African consciousness, eyes and ears and sensitivities open as we go together in what I'm going to call a prayer of unity, but it's not a prayer that with your eyes closed, it's a prayer of your conscious eyes open, your hearing ears open, and your body and your spiritual eye active. Again, I want to give honor to the one that enabled us to be here today, the one who gave us great ancestors, who kept peace on earth long before there was Jew, Islam, or Christian, the one who enabled us to survive the murderous shackles, torture, and sinful and unjust slavery system, the one who has maintained our survival through today in that same slavery system. Let us not forget, my brothers and sisters, that same slavery system is operating. Sometimes we tend to forget that. Now may we be one in understanding that Juneteenth is not a day of celebration for us. There's a time we must continue high stepping up the road of liberation. It is a day when every African must stop asking for freedom, justice, and equality. We must declare it. If not before, we now recognize that Juneteenth was the day when the villainous white supremacist system pretended on June 19, 1865, to notify African enslaved brothers and sisters in the military district of Texas that they were free. We will open our eyes to the fact that we are in war, where our captors, though through his or her credulous and evil systems, continue to design and redesign ways of control and deception to keep us enslaved. We know that we must unite, all as Africans. We know that we must unite as Africans now more than ever before. We know that our strength lies in our goal of agreement so strongly that no wedge, no matter how sharp and how strong, can divide us. One of the strongest weapons of war that we face is that their ability to try and divide us, and sometimes we yield to that. We are aware that provocateurs are now joining our efforts. We're aware that they are trying to make our efforts weakened. We're aware that they are trying to make our efforts unrighteous and take away our self-determination. So, brothers and sisters, let's not be weakened by the pretentious joining of those who will do us damage. We are aware that we must stand firm on doing well for ourselves and encouraging others to work in their own backyards. I want to repeat that. Encourage others to work in their own backyards, to destroy the murderous practices and the behaviors that their own people have, instead of joining us or pretending to join us and becoming in an effort to weaken us. We are clear that our focus has been drawn to police brutality, which is unconscionable or vile in its own right. We know, however, that the big rotten stinky foot of oppression with its knee on our neck is still on our neck, individually and collectively. We know that that same vicious self and system directed knee is resting on African citizens' throat every day in all 9 areas of life: economics, education, entertainment, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. We are hopeful that all of our efforts can be peaceful as we move the big, evil, and constant knee Africans experience daily. You know, they draw our attention to the one physical need, but just be aware that that need is on our throats every day. In any case, we must not fear using the directive given us by more than one of our ancestors. And more than one of our ancestors over and over reminded us that we must do things by any means necessary. Let there be absolute clarity, however, about this prayer of meditation and action and thankfulness. We are not asking God to do everything for us. We're asking for the discipline of the sun, the discipline of the wind, the discipline of the rain. We will then know we will move with power and precision. Our actions will be direct. Our talking will be minimized. Thanks be to God and our ancestors. Let us use this prayer of meditation as we make plans today. This can become our planning day, and I hope it will become our planning day until the false celebration that we have built into it. Because we need our collective liberation efforts. We need our collective freedom efforts. We need not be deceived and defined, nor defined by those who would like to keep us in a box. This prayer is written as I'm focusing on the time, space, and situation in which we find ourselves. I hope that it is useful beyond the stated words. You know that I could go on and on, brothers and sisters. There's too much shouting and not enough bouting every day. We continue to be in a cultural war. We continue to be in a cultural war. Now, if you don't know what that is, please go and find out what that means. That means in every area of life that we're being under attack. And, and so it's important that we recognize that we are in this cultural war. We must now move ahead and develop African group unity with a POA, a plan of action, not out shouting about, but by planning behind and within ourselves, and then move into action. I want to close these few comments with a pledge that's taken from the new book that I've just put out called The Genius of Africans United, A Call to Action. And I'd like you to just meditate on both the prayer and this pledge, because I feel that this pledge is so important. I know that we've been demeaned and we've been beat into believing sometimes that we are less than the best, but I want us to pledge that we will no longer accept that. And this pledge goes, I am a genius. My ancestors were geniuses. My ancestors have made me a genius. In all that I think, say, or do, I must declare myself a genius. I am a genius. Whenever I'm myself, I practice my geniuses and do great things. All of my thoughts, choices, and deeds must express my geniusness. I am a genius. My decisions must always be in the best interest of myself, my family, my people, and my God, not somebody else's, but mine. Only then will I and everyone know that I'm a genius. I am a genius. At all times, my geniuses must reflect my culture. My genius must serve my God. My genius must make me be one in love and harmony with my family. My genius must protect my people. At all times, brothers and sisters, I must declare excellence. It must be excellent because I'm a genius. thanks to my brothers and sisters for allowing me to open this, what's supposed to be a festive day for a false reason. But let us make it a festive day for a real reason of planning and acting. Hotel, and again, Brother Hatem, thanks for asking me to open this very righteous I'll say I'm going to call it a conference, a beginning conference to take action in the future. Hotel, and may the great spirit of the ancestors and all of the warriors be with you, because we need to understand, brothers and sisters, that we're in a cultural war, a war of destruction. Hotel.
Hotep. All right, Baba, hold on before you get off, man. Now you got one book out called 11 Steps: Considerations for Empowering African-Centered Organizations, and you got another book coming out which highlights the poem that you wrote. When you wrote that poem, the "I Am a Genius," what was you trying to teach? Because this was long before a lot of people got into this whole idea about genius. Can you share what was on your mind when you put that poem together?
Well, I can tell you what was on my mind. I'm very clear that what was on my mind is still on my mind. All those enslaving systems that we sometimes honor, and I'm going to start with the schools, the churches, the governmental systems, the courts. All those enslaving systems have beat us down sometimes, so when we don't recognize the geniuses that's in us, and that we were the ones who made them be able to stand up straight rather than walk on the fours, and that we are the ones that taught them how to build, how to be the so-called scientists that they are. And sometimes we tend to turn our backs on our ancestors and forget about all those measures, buildings, and all of those healings and all of those great things that they did that made it possible for the false and evil systems to be, the enslaving systems to be present today. And then on top of that, I hope you caught the notion that I'm suggesting that they have the audacity, and sometimes we don't use our genius to see it, that to be deceptive about giving you freedom. How can you give a man freedom if he doesn't claim it for himself? And so I would say to you that that's what's on my mind. It's still on my mind.
After 95 years, it's still on his mind. Family, be sure to check out, if you look at the bottom of the screen, and say learn more at MaribaKelsey.com. We will be launching his next book, The Genius of Africans United, A Call to Action. I didn't know you was a poet, Doc.
I have to tell you, the little inside joke here in my house is that I began to think I was, and my wife said to me, "That's not all poetry. That's prose." And I don't know what that is either.
Me neither, and I'm supposed to be a poet. I don't know.
But anyway, those are thoughts. And then throughout the book, what I tried to do is make sure that we understand that everyone among us is a genius. But we sometimes don't put our geniuses together. The reason that we need to unite is that we need to put our geniuses together like hands together, so that we can manifest our strength, rather than having hands and everybody declaring that they know it all on the peak. When they have valleys, everybody's got valleys, and so we put together and we have no peaks. I mean, no valleys. We have peaks, all peaks, and that's what we should be striving for, rather than allowing disunities and disagreements and believing that it's all right to disagree. It is not. Our goal should be to agree. So that's what I was on my mind. All these things are on my mind, and now I could talk forever on things like that that's on my mind.
Hey, I mean, now that's part of the beauty of being an elder, because you get time to talk. Now, so you was talking about interlopers in a sense, on what we're doing and what's popping off out in these streets now. Can you go a little bit more in depth on that?
Yeah, well, you know, I told you at the beginning that this represented some of my experiences. In about, I'm going to say 1960s, somewhere in the 1960s, in Columbus, Ohio, there was a group called Know KEO, Know Each Other, which I believed, I was deceived into believing that that group, they had Jews and all kinds of other white groups and white members in it, and a few black people, and I began to believe that they too would take a stand. And and what we found shortly when there was trouble in Columbus, that we couldn't find them. And I said then that it's really time that we begin to recognize when they come among us, that's many times it's just for excitement, not for taking action in the way that we need action for our own liberation. Only we can do that. We must do it behind closed doors before, and not on the TV for everybody to see what we're talking about.
All right. So Doc, we want to thank you for joining us, and make sure you keep on staying tuned on G&J Media live, because we got a whole bunch of nice stuff going for you. Hold on, Brother Kwame say prose supposedly doesn't necessarily have particular rhyme and meter, but listen to our people speak. Prose, their speech, rhythm turns prose to poetry. Sister Elder Margarita say we will win. Hold on, let me go and give you some of the messages that was popping up while you was talking, because you can't see the messages. Just to let you know and let the family know. I mean, like I said, this is an international thing here. We got we're getting okay. Some people couldn't see it, but somebody said, "Hey, Daddy, hold on. Who was it? Somebody was on here. It blew my mind. I'm old now, but we got one of your daughters was on here checking you out, Doc. So we're gonna give her a round of applause. I don't see her name. Oh, Ramani. Ramani, hey, Daddy. She said, "What's up?" Ramani said, "What's up?" You had Greg Arnold talking about fair weather folks, because that's kind of what you're talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, long as the weather's good. And we also, because part of my issue is that anybody that comes out and makes a sacrifice for something, or like what's happening out in these streets right now, always is looking for something in return.
That's right.
And like, how did you end up dealing with that situation when you found out that they wasn't there when you really needed them to be there?
Well, I think that I learned from it. For one thing, I learned never to assume that that there was a collective effort among them to do anything. Now, I'll yield to, there may be a possibility for one individual to be a friend to another individual, but not to address the system that got the boot on our backs and our necks. And I guess I'm trying to encourage us to make the distinction between those two. Even if I don't think you need the first need to anyway, but if you're going to do it, let's make a distinction between what is individualized and that is systemized. Let's make a clear distinction between those two, because I don't have any evidence that we're getting help from the system that has caused us to be enslaved from the beginning and throughout now. See, the different forms of that it manifests itself, and sometimes we see that as progress, but it may be more where we're breathing our own carbon dioxide, and I've forgotten what that disease is called, but that like having a mask and having to breathe your own carbon dioxide. So it's be careful about that, because we are in danger if we don't take time and begin to plan for ourselves.
And what do you think some of the plans should include?
Well, I'm not going to discuss those publicly, but
I like that.
I will discuss them in our groups, so we know that there are many prongs to that plan, not just one. That's why I call the misguided and misdirected efforts of focusing on just police brutality alone. That police brutality is just a part of the overall system.
Right.
That includes, I keep emphasizing, and sometimes my family and others don't like me to emphasize that includes the churches, and let's don't be fooled by any.
So what we need is a total system overhaul, or total system breakdown, or total system rebuilding, in a sense. And we have to start. I'm gonna leave it there. We're not gonna discuss this publicly, but Baba, I want to thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions from the family out in the ether? Anybody out there that has any questions, type them up, and I will read them to the Baba while we got them, because we sitting here at the feet of wisdom. We need to go and take advantage of it. We got a little bit of extra time here at the DigiFest, because I don't know what's going on after this, but we're going to make it happen. That's how we do it at Giami Journey. Mommy, I know what's happening, but I don't know what's happening immediately. But anyway, we got a live correspondent out. We got a young man that's about to spot some poetry for us. You know what I'm saying? And we doing it safely. Sister Antoinette said, Pledge of African Genius, written by Mariba Kelsey, June 19th, 1989, for, where's it at? I just lost it. A Pledge for African Genius, written by Mariba Kelsey, June 19, 1989, for Columbus Juneteenth celebration. Brother Greg Arnold. Greg and Carolyn Arnold. If you don't understand racism and white supremacy and all it entails, everything else you thought you knew will only confuse you. Come on now, y'all got the Baba sitting right here. Throw them questions out. He's sitting up here patient, because he don't like being on photographs too long. But I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to change that, because we got to. It took us a while to get up on the camera, but we got the camera now, so he gonna be on the show. Baba, you just. I don't know if you walked into the. You just walked into the trap. You got to be coming on. You might be a weekly commentator, man. You ready?
I'll see you later.
Brother Kwame say, rescue, reconstruct, and restore African worldview and its practical application. And we're going to talk about a little bit more of that. Now, for those of you that are listening, Dr. Kelsey has spoke to me about doing, in a sense, a talk with some of the nation builders. So we need nation builders that are interested. I know I could get some, but I want to get some outside directly of my circle, where we can sit down and actually have a real conversation with Dr. Kelsey about some of the main issues that we need to be dealing with, especially here in Columbus. But Doc, I want to thank you for joining us. And be sure, stay in tune. And if you feel you need to come back on, just text me, let me know, and I will put you on. Greg Carr will be on later on. The schedule is gonna post up in between time, so you can check it out. But we at gnjmedia.live, gnjmedia.live. I'm about to go over here to Brother D. Brother D, you
All
about
right,
to
well,
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said thank you very much, and I'll talk with I'll talk and just let my village know that I am there with them as they plan and take serious the steps up the road of liberation and freedom.
Yes, sir.